There. I did make a save, right? I did. A timely save. This one is a negative. I think this is the first time we've branched away from neutral in this particular one. According to my spreadsheet. Nope, that's the other one. Wrong color. Nope, just kidding. We've done this one before. I did the negative. Why is that not marked on my spreadsheet? Hmm? Me? Anyone want to tell me? This bad boy is getting filled out though, that's for sure. And I don't think many of these matter. Nope, this one does matter, kind of, looks like. Good old. Oh. If I've seen all three of them, I'm just gonna zip through all neutral, like, for the sake of, you know, expedience. That's a word, right? I'm using that word correctly. Expedience. Expedience. Quality of being fit or suitable to cause some disaster. Okay, so no, I was not using that word correctly. So I'm going to pretend it didn't happen. I feel like I should be saying things right now. They're not coming to my brain. What if I... Yeah. Hmm. Oh. We approacheth relevantness. Relevant trigger. Yeah, one. Oh. The next thing I knew, I was walking slowly on top of a roof somewhere. The wind. Oh. Computer? Behave. The wind was strong, and the rain was crashing sideways into my body. Yeah, this is different. But for some strange reason, I didn't feel cold. I recognized this place. I'd been here several times. That's right. This was the school's roof. I looked around. There wasn't much to see up here, and the rain made it hard to see anything at all. The whole place didn't feel real, like the world itself was blurry here. My world is also blurry if I do this. Oh. Can relate. I was looking beyond the fence surrounding the roof. Bess was there. She was soaking wet and facing me from the other side of it. She had the same look in her eyes that she'd had during the concert. She was looking right at me. The sword-like mic stand was still in her right hand. The wind blew up from below, rustling her wet hair. If she lost her balance even a little, she'd be sure to fall, and if she fell from this height, she'd die instantly. Just looking at her made me feel weak in the knees. But Fess was standing up straight and seemingly not scared at all. She looked at me with sadness in her eyes. Her left hand, the one that wasn't holding the mic stand, reached out to me. "Jump with me," she seemed to be saying. Oh. Fess wants... Oh, boy. There. Fess wants me to save her. Yes. I want to give in to her temptation. No. It would feel so good to jump. Yes. For like 5 seconds, maybe. I imagine it wouldn't be feeling so good after that. I'd be willing to die if I could do it with Fess. I mean, that, yeah. Yep. I mean, I'm speaking in character, of course. Yeah, yes. I want to be released from everything. I'm speaking strictly in character. I couldn't say a word. I didn't know what to do. Beth said nothing. Then she spread out her arms, as if she'd been nailed to a cross. The rain and wind suddenly stopped. I tried to shout, but nothing came out. I couldn't say a word. Fess slowly fell backwards. Everything was happening in slow motion. I tried to somehow reach out a hand toward her, but my own movements were in slow motion, too. All I could do was watch helplessly as my arms slowly stretched out. Fess's eyes were already closed, and then she vanished from my sight. I knew I was the one who'd created it, but man, what a depressing ending. I guess that was just a sign of how incredible the aura around Fess was. She had this kind of destructive beauty. Not that I had any idea what destructive beauty actually was. Lol, sorry. In the end, I'd gotten sick from the crowd and fled the concert hall. So I'd barely seen any of it, and I never wanted to go again. Now then, time to play some ESO and forget the depressing delusion. Aw, yeah. I think that's it, right? It's settled. The deed is done. I love the music. A morbid part of me wants to pick the one where well, with the foot and such, because that was really funny, but let's not. That was... I stand by what I said. I think that was hands down the horniest part of this game. Ayase Kishimoto, I'm not saying a lot. Ayase Kishimoto stood in front of the school's gate in the morning, looking up at the sky. The other students were passing her by. She noticed the strange look they gave her, but didn't care. Her eyes were filled with a kind of powerless lethargy. For Ayase, going to school was meaningless. Even now, in her third year, it still felt strange to wear a uniform. Why? Because the world was about to be destroyed. There were more important things to do than go to school. That's how Ayase felt anyway. Still, she came because she was searching for the door and the other Black Knights. Suime Academy was the place where the Black Knights would gather. No, that's where they would be gathered, more accurately. That was how Ayase saw it. She'd always been a problem child, rarely even going to middle school. Middle school was compulsory in Japan, but high school wasn't. She'd never expected to go there. But in May of her first year, she transferred in anyway. She still remembered it well. On that day, she was also standing here in front of the school. Until then, she'd lived at a facility run by the Arkhart Medical Group. There, she'd endured hellish trials until she'd finally become a Black Knight. After a month or so of rest to restore her damaged mental state, she'd been exiled from the facility. The director of the facility, she didn't care enough to remember his name, had said this to her just before she left. Starting tomorrow, you'll be attending a school in Shibuya called Suime Academy. The preparations have already been made. She was not told the reason. So on the day she transferred here, she'd stood in front of the school gate and sang a little song to herself.
天空赤く染まるとき、邪神王の帯同と呼応し、七つの黒き邪神は生まれ、やがて聖域へと召喚される。そして宣言するのだ。悪夢よ、最悪よ、暗黒なる肉塊たちよ。邪神により邪神をほふられ、邪神王が支配する世界は砕け散ると。
It was a line from a myth published under the title The Apocalyptic Psalms of the Book of Gladiael. Remembering it satisfied her. This, she knew, was where the Black Knights would gather. So she waited, and she searched. Until now, there'd been no sign at all of any wicked hearts, but now, at last, one had appeared. She'd found someone who could become a Black Knight. To Ayase, this change came far too late, but it was still a welcome change indeed.
もう時間はないわ。グラジオールの復活はすぐそこ。
She whispered this softly. Then she stepped through the gate of the school to see the other Black Knight, the boy she'd seen at the concert. She's such a weirdo. In a group of weirdos, she's still like somehow just so weird. I love it. She's such a goober. Like in this world of crazy nonsense, she is like, everything else is at like a 10, she's at like a 12. It's great. I'm just playing, like, in my head, there's just that do 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 do. There was no answer. Of course there wasn't. It'd be scary if there was one. Did I? Oh, I think I... Is this one of the... Yeah, I don't think I did this one. There was no answer. Of course there wasn't. It'd be scary if there was one. Oh, right. No, I know what this one is. I forgot about my spreadsheet. I heard a noise. I turned around to look before I realized what I was doing. I'd lost today's Don't Turn Around game. There was nobody in my room. Was I hearing things? I hope so, I told myself. Again. I heard the sound again. I couldn't lie to myself anymore. It was the sound of somebody knocking on the door. which meant someone was here. Nobody ever came here. Even the people selling newspapers wouldn't come all the way up here. Who could it be? A delivery guy? No, I wasn't getting any packages today. Nanami? No, Nanami would pound louder and harder, and then she'd scream, "Brother, open up!" I'd recognize it if it was her. Yua? That was likely. She'd been here once before. Had the demon girl sent her here to kill me? But if so, why would she go through the trouble of knocking? The knocking sound kept coming. I froze, trying to figure out what to do, but no good ideas came to me. I just kept getting more and more scared. I know, I could just pretend to not be here. Or is that just being paranoid? But I should be careful, right? Shibuya has been really dangerous lately. And if it was Yua, I couldn't let her in. I'd basically be asking for her to kill me. Wait, did I lock the door? I looked over toward it to see. It was too dark to tell if the door was locked, however. I softly stood up, walking over to the door while being as careful as possible to not make any noise. By the time I made it to the middle of the room, I was finally able to tell for sure. The door wasn't locked. A cold chill ran down my entire body. My heart beat faster than from nervousness. Right now, anybody could just walk right in and kill me. I needed to hurry up and lock the door. If I made any kind of noise, it would be obvious I was here, but it would be better than letting someone inside. I ran over to the door, tripped over a soda bottle, and stepped on the container of a convenience store dinner I'd bought. Well, that's not very convenient at all. I slipped and fell right on my butt. I moaned from the intense pain. No! And then the door slowly began to open right before my eyes. I didn't know who it was, but whoever had been knocking was now opening the door. I tried to force myself to stand up, but my body refused to move from the pain. All I could do was watch it open as tears ran down my face. Firstly, I saw the hand. The sleeve was from a Suime Academy uniform, I could tell that much. Then the hair. It was a little longer than Nanami's, but it was shorter than Yua's. I didn't know who it belonged to. I couldn't tell from the bright pinkness of it anyone else with that hair color. And then I saw the face peeking out from the other side of the door.
Konnichiwa.
Ah! And then I knew who it was. Someone unexpected. The worst possible someone. My vision threatened to go black from sheer despair. It was the demon girl! It was the demon girl! No! Our eyes met. She suddenly smiled happily. Her smile made me shiver. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Her other hand was still behind the door. She must be holding one of those cross-shaped stakes in it. She was here to kill me at last. She was smiling with joy at the thought of killing me. It was because I'd talked to those cops. She'd used her clairvoyant powers to see me doing it remotely. Don't kill me! I tried to scream, but I was too scared to get the words out. She stared at me, tilting her head, and recited a strange spell. She must be speaking in the demon language. She was going to curse me. I crawled away, trying to get as much distance between me and her as possible. My hands kept slipping on the garbage as I crawled, but I managed to make it to the far end of the room and hide under my computer desk. The demon girl came inside. She even took her shoes off. If only she was a vampire, then she wouldn't be able to do that. The door shut. Now there was nowhere to run. But surprisingly, the only thing she was carrying was her bag. I didn't see any kind of weapon. No, it had to be in that bag. I couldn't let my guard down. The second I let my guard down, she would come for me. Or maybe that spell a second ago had cursed me. In a few days, my body started spouting blood from all its pores, and then I died. I curled up into a little ball on the floor, cursing the detectives I'd met earlier.
警察に喋ったこと謝るから。
警察？
それに話してもちっとも信じてもらえてなかったし。
That was just a lie I'd said to buy time. The detectives had said they'd protect me. Yeah, they're doing a bang-up job. That older guy was doing his job right. He surely sent an officer to protect me. Nah, you good. Then I realized I told the officer my phone number, but I hadn't given him my address. She suddenly struck a pose like she was at attention. And then, even more strange, she made the sound effect of her hand snapping to attention with her mouth. Was this another demon spell? Absolutely.
独り言はやめるべし。殺さないでとか警察がどうとか私には何のことかさっぱりだよ。
She didn't know? Was this some kind of joke? Or was this her way of telling me to forget that anything had ever happened? What was this girl thinking? Hadn't she come here to kill me?
ほら立てる？立とう。
The demon walked over to me and offered a hand. Her expression looked so kind, and up close, I could tell that she was pretty cute. Wait, what had gotten into me? She was a demon. She wasn't pretty cute. She was a murderer. She'd used Yua and Shogun to try and set me up. Now she was here to kill me herself. I couldn't let myself believe her. I'd learned my lesson with Yua. I'd never make the same mistake again. I didn't take the hand she offered me. I couldn't let her smile fool me. It was a demonic temptation. If I gave into it, I'd die. Don't believe in anything. Don't listen to anything anyone says.
だって見たんだ。お前が人を殺してるとこ。
あのさタク、それかなりひどいこと言ってるって気づいてる？まさか殺人犯呼ばわりされるなんてね。
What was she doing here?
ニュージェネの
Like the other 4 times.
殺すんでしょ。それとも岩とか将軍とかがいる場所に連れてって。
ユア？将軍？誰それ？
Maybe the 3 of them were going to work together and kill me while I was helpless.
そんなの嫌だ。助けて。
じゃあね、私を殺人犯扱いしなければ助けてあげる。
I knew it!
そんなビビらないでよ。いちいち私がへこむようなリアクションしてくれるよね。
お願いだ。もう二度と誰にも喋らないから。だから見逃して。
もしもーし、タク、ちょっと落ち着こう。
She kept calling me Taku like we were friends. How did she know my name anyway? She'd known my name when we first met at the scene of the crucified killing. How? And how did she know where the base was?
当然でしょ。
Base?
あなたの名前を知ってるのは。
She read my mind. She had magic clairvoyant powers. I knew it. That's how she found my name and address.
タクって結構独り言多いよね。
I think he is.
前から思ってたことだけど。
Psychic. Always? Since when was always? Wait, was I talking to myself? I couldn't tell. Really? Was I really talking to myself? Or was it possible she was lying? Was it possible she read my mind?
タクの名前を知らないわけないよ。私、物覚えはそんなに良くない方だけど。友達の名前くらい覚えるよ。
Friend?
それともタク、私のことバカにしてる？そりゃ私、テストの点数はそんなに良くないけど。面と向かってそういうこと言われると傷ついちゃうな。
Was she crazy? Wait, how could I be sure she was the crazy one? Was I crazy? Or was she?
もし
Or
か
was
し
it
て
me?
転校生。
そういえば近いうちに転校生が来るらしいよ。スカチン先生が言ってた。
We were talking past each other. The fear that I could be killed at any moment was starting to fade. But instead, another type of fear was slowly working its way through my heart.
もしもしその顔はまさかまだ信じてくれてない？
誰だ？
Who are you? She was a murderer, the demon girl.
タクこそクラスメートの顔を覚えてないんだ。ひどー。
We're classmates? Not just friends, but classmates?
でもまあしょうがないか。タクはあんまり学校来ないのね。だからって私の存在丸ごとなかったことにするのはどうかと思う。ちなみに名前も忘れちゃってるわけかな。はいはい、そうなのね。ショック。じゃあ思い出させてあげますよっと。私は崎畑凛美。リアクションなしかい。崎畑凛美。思い出した？
I'd never even heard the name Rimi Sakihata before. The only 3D girl I knew who would talk to me like this was Yua anyway. And Yua worked for her. In a flash, I suddenly understood. This Sakihata girl was using the same trick Yua had used. She was being all friendly, knowing that I wasn't used to talking to 3D girls. Then she'd set me up for a trap. Of course, I didn't remember the faces of all my classmates, and I wasn't interested in trying, but I was sure I'd never seen her in class, wasn't I? No, I couldn't be sure. Every minute I spent at school I spent at my desk, either enjoying delusions while pretending to be asleep, or staring at the desk, or pretending to read a textbook. I didn't remember any of my classmates' names. I'd never cared enough to. Which was it? Was what this girl was saying true? No, it didn't matter whether or not she was a classmate. The one thing I was sure of was that she was a murderer.
たく記憶力ゼロ？まあいいや。じゃあ大臣に聞いてみて。
Daichin? What the hell was that? Person's name? Some kind of code? A demon spell?
大臣だよ、大臣。
I'm gonna assume everything is a demon spell.
ミスミ大好き。
I love that. She knew Misumi's name? She called him Daichin. You wouldn't do that unless you were pretty friendly with him.
というわけで、はい。
The demon girl found my phone on the sofa and picked it up, offering it to me. She wanted me to call Misumi, maybe. I didn't like calling people, but if I didn't do it, she might kill me. Helplessly, I decided to call him, but I realized I didn't know Misumi's phone number. I froze. The demon girl seemed confused before going around to my side and looking over at the phone. Her hair rustled a little, and I could smell the sweet scent of her shampoo. She was a demon! Couldn't let her tempt me. I wasn't into 3D girls. Seirutan, give me power!
もしかして番号知らない？だったら先にそう言ってくれなきゃ。ごめんごめん。
She apologized and took the phone from my hand. For a moment, our fingers touched. She was warm. I guess even a demon had the same blood in her veins as a human.
大臣の番号はね、ほいほいほいの。
Man, the differences are so slight. Like, there are parts where I'm like, this is the exact same thing I already. But like, just the tiniest differences, like the fact that we're using his phone instead of her phone. And there was another thing that I noticed that I already forgot about. She quickly tapped in the number. From the speed she typed it in at, it had to be one she knew well.
ほーい、つながった。
She offered me the phone. I didn't know what to do, so I took it and held it to my ear. I could hear the sound of the ringing, but then the sound cut off, and instead I heard Misumi's voice.
Hi. Oh.
Someone answered. The person on the phone didn't give their name. They must have been outside somewhere downtown, because I could hear the hustle and bustle of the crowd around them. I really hated phone calls. I couldn't be sure if I was even talking to Misumi. The voice sounded similar, but maybe slightly different.
たく、大臣出た？
She was staring at me again, this time from right in front of me. Damn it, why did she have to be so close to me? I turned my back to her and steeled myself.
西
Was it just me, or was Misumi acting weird? How had he known it was me so quickly? I mean, you have a very distinct stutter, and you said part of your name, so I like, to be fair, I don't think it's that crazy. All I'd said was Nishi, and also the, what with the stuttering and the
慣れない番号だったから誰かと思ったぜ。お前、もしかして携帯買ったのか?
It was possible that she was just having me call somebody with a voice similar to his to fool me. The person with the Misumi-like voice was working for her, maybe, and trying to trick me. Maybe the demon girl that knew that I didn't have Misumi's real number had set this up from the start. I was starting to get suspicious of everything. I didn't know what was the truth and what was a lie. Assuming the demon girl was willing to put in the time and effort to set a trap like that, what kind of trap was it, specifically? Wouldn't it be faster for her to just kill me here? Or was there some reason that I had to be deceived, even if it meant doing so in a really roundabout way? Wait, could it be some kind of trick Misumi was setting up? This demon girl was his girlfriend, not a classmate at all, but someone he'd sent here just to make fun of me. No, wait, not a chance. How would you explain the crucified murder then?
で、タク、なんか用か? お前から連絡してくるなんて珍しいこともあるもんだな。ま、俺としては野郎からの電話なんてあんな嬉しくねえんだけどな。
It certainly sounded like Misumi. The more I heard him talk, the less likely it seemed that the person I was talking to could be anybody but Misumi.
女の口説き方でも教えてもらいたいのか? なわけねえか。
I wasn't sure where to start. I could feel someone looking at me from behind me. The girl was staring at me, and the prickling on the back of my neck was still there. What was the look on her face now? I wanted to look back and see, but I was too scared.
用がねえなら切るぞ。お前の無言電話に付き合ってるほど暇じゃねえんだ。今、女と一緒だからよ。だからなんだよ。用があるなら早く言って。
その、
なんだよ。早く言えって。
うちのクラス。
まあ、うちのクラスがどうした？
いる。
何が？
女子。
あ？
咲畑って名前の。
I was stammering really badly, but I finally managed to explain to him. He suddenly fell silent. There was no answer, but I could still hear the bustle of the crowd, so he hadn't hung up. Why wasn't he answering? That was a good sound. That was a very believable sigh. It's really funny. I heard a massive sigh.
お前さ、ゲーム脳じゃねえの？
What was he talking about? And anyway, it wasn't true the video games damaged your brain. Facts!
一瞬考えちまったよ。咲畑なんて名字で言うからよ。それってリミのことだろ？
Why?
お前、いくら三次元の女に興味ねえからってあいつのことまで忘れるか？俺はともかくお前は1年の時から同じクラスだったろ？この前だって3人で一緒に映画見に行ったじゃねえか。
I couldn't grasp what this Misumi-like person was saying. The demon girl and I had been in the same class the whole time? The three of us went to see a movie the other day. When was the other day?
俺がお前とダチになったのだって最初はリミに付き合わされたのがきっかけだったしな。俺と同じでリミも物好きだからよ。ニートのお前を気にかけてやってるのは世界広しといえど俺とリミぐらいだぜ。
Rude.
あ、それは言い過ぎか。
Not a single one of the words coming through the phone felt real. How could they? None of the things he was describing existed in my memories. I couldn't accept that they'd ever happened. What this Misumi-like person was telling me wasn't true. It wasn't real. If something really happened, you remembered it.
っていうか、リミってマジで女っ気ないよな。おっと、これはあいつには言うなよ。
君は誰だ？
おいおい、マジでおかしくなったか？俺のことまで忘れたわけか？ゲームやりすぎ。
Couldn't take any more, so I hung up the phone. I suddenly realized that I was having trouble breathing. The sweat coming off my brow showed no signs of stopping. If anything, it was getting worse. I could feel it dripping off me and landing on the ground below.
たく、汗びっしょりだよ。
The demon girl looked genuinely worried as she handed me a handkerchief. It was a cute red one with no pattern on it. The handkerchief had a slightly floral scent. I didn't take it. Instead, I tried to get straight in my head what was going on. It didn't work, though. I just started getting suspicious of everything.
で、大臣はなんて？
She gave a slight disappointed sigh as she put away the handkerchief. Then she took on a victor's smile. Victor's smile. It was as if she'd known the answer from the start. I didn't have the strength to answer her. Who was this woman? Just my classmate? Or a monster? I didn't know. Maybe I was just crazy. Thinking back to my chat with Shogun, I couldn't be sure that somebody wasn't controlling my body. Or maybe there was some kind of accident that took my memories of this Rimi Sakihara girl away from me and left my other memories intact. What the hell was wrong with me? Amnesia? Sleepwalking? Something else?
大丈夫？体、辛いならソファーで横になる？
The demon girl spoke kind words to me. I needed to be especially careful around anyone who said kind words to me. Anybody who'd be nice to a creepy otaku like me definitely had some kind of ulterior motive. I shook my head no and then forced myself to get up. The sweat got in my eyes and made my vision blurry. Her face was closer than I thought it would be. What color were her eyes?
なんで？
Pinkish? Pinkish? Purplish? That's actually not an easy question.
ああ、ごめんね、勝手に入っちゃって。でも、ノックしてたんだよ。タクは全然出てきてくれないし、中でものすごい音が聞こえてくるしで、結構ハラハラしてたんだから。
なんで？
今度は何？
ここにいる。
I didn't mean why were you able to get inside? What was she even doing here? She came here to kill me. Why wasn't she doing anything? Alright, here we go. There was just like little itty bitty noises, itty bitty differences. That was interesting. Just checking which one is the next spreadsheetable. I haven't clicked already or done. Enough time has passed, I can look at Nanami again. Like... I don't believe we've done this one. Or maybe we did. I don't know. Oh, yeah. That wimpy looking transfer student didn't matter at all. What mattered was Rimi. I had to do something about her. I really like the positive one here where they have like a big battle. That's great. I'm curious where this is going. I heard a voice from the back of the class. Rimi. She started talking. Kozue? Who the hell was Kozue? Who was Rimi talking to?
なんだ崎畑、折原とは知り合いなのか？
はい、そうです。
Rimi was talking to the teacher. I was getting even more confused. I couldn't even think straight. The transfer student laughed innocently.
リミさんを追いかけて
私も来ちゃったの。そうなの？やることが大胆だな。
What? Was Remy talking to the transfer student? Did they know each other too? Was this transfer student a servant of the demon girl too? I froze, unable to do anything but listen to their conversation.
リミさん、よろしくね。こちらこそ。これから楽しくなりそうだね。
Oh my god! No! Oh no, that face! I wasn't expecting that noise. Evac Angel 23. Thank you for following. I appreciate it. I think that's the first time I've actually heard that noise since I set it up. Thank you. That's super cool. Now I'm all happy. Oh my god, that face.
楽しみ。
Lurking and came across my stream. I appreciate you popping in. It's neat. Do I have a Discord? Yeah, kinda. It's like very. I'm not good at it. Sure. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure how to do that, but I wouldn't mind. Be super cool. Oh god, I clicked the wrong thing. Oh god. I never remember how to check this. It's oh my god, I'm terrible. For the life of me, I cannot figure out where to find it. I'm so good at technology. There. Well, kind of. Oops. I'll send a message after, because I can't seem to figure my brain, my poor computer brain. I think, I don't know. I'm so bad at technology. Yeah, I'll send a message after and let you know. Thank you, though. Oh god, now I clicked on something I shouldn't have clicked on. My computer's misbehaving. Alright, should be working now.
楽しみ。
face.
ねえ、そう思わない？思うよね。
Oh, cool. I'm not sure if it's because I have this open, but I will try. Hmm? No. There. I have done the thing. I hope it worked.
西条匠。
I can't get over that face. That's such a great face. All right, that was better than the other one.
どうやら折原は緊張しているようだな。よし、挨拶はいい。
The teacher's voice brought me back to my senses. I was so relieved to find out that this was just a delusion. The transfer student was still standing there, timidly, not saying a word.
みんな、この子は折原梢だ。仲良くしてやってくれ。折原、席は一番後ろだ。席についていいぞ。
The transfer student bowed silently and started to walk toward me. Her seat would be 4 rows behind me. I thought about pretending to follow her with my eyes as she walked, so I could look back and see who was there. But if I did, I'd stand out a lot. Some Dokyun might see me and say, "Don't stare at the transfer student just because she's cute," and then they'd try to beat me up. What should I do? Turn around or wait until homeroom ended? My head dropped as I squeezed my fists tightly. It was no good. I didn't have the courage. If I turned around and saw her...
その人って
Huh?
悪い人なの？だったらね、本当に殺してあげてもいいよ。
The transfer student passed by me. I gasped and looked up at her. Our eyes met, but she quickly turned away and passed me by. That voice... It was a delusion, right? Maybe I was under so much stress I was starting to lose sight of the distinction between delusion and reality. In the end, I stayed there trembling in my seat, lacking the courage to look around. I focused on trying to calm my fear of Rimi, who I was sure was watching me. Still, I can't get that face out of my head. Okay. Should be good until number 19, according to my brilliantly crafted spreadsheet. Ugh, gross. Gross. My body froze. Oh, no, never mind. Ignore me. Music comes and goes so quick. I bet she just makes a chain. Like, how do I get him to come into this train? Chain. I mean, it worked. I think Yua still wins for scariest face, but that Kozue face was pretty terrifying. God, stop doing that. Yeah. Yeah. No, I was imagining things. I hadn't done anything that would make the police suspicious of me. I hadn't killed anybody. I was innocent and harmless. For now, I just needed to rest a little more. My heart was still pounding hard. I looked up at the night sky, taking one shallow breath after another. I couldn't see the stars. The bright artificial lights of the city created a thin veil that blocked out the sky above Shibuya. Oh my god. The faint light of the stars had traveled dozens, if not hundreds of light years to get here, only to be blocked off by a veil of ugly blackness. It was such a cheap sky, but in Shibuya, this was normal. I lived in Shibuya, so this was my sky. I looked back toward the policeman. My whole body froze. He was coming close to me. I needed to make sure not to make eye contact. I stood up and looked over to the side of the bridge. The footsteps were getting closer. I prayed they'd pass me by. But...
Kimi.
He spoke. He was definitely talking to me. My heartbeat had almost calmed down, but it suddenly sped up again.
すいません。急いでるんで。
そうは見えないな。
Why was he talking to me? I listed the options in my mind. 1, because I was alone at night in a place like this. 2, because I looked suspicious. 3, he was just questioning everyone. 4, he thought I was possibly the Nugent killer.
身分を証明するもの。そうだな。生徒手帳を見せてくれないか。
Damn it. I didn't have time for this. I needed to get somewhere that wasn't so out in the open. Yua might find me again. But if I ran away from the policeman, I might get arrested. And even worse, if option number 4 was right, running might only make things worse for me. I just have to get through this. With no other choice, I took out my student ID from my jacket pocket and showed it to him. He took it and checked my name and picture. Then something changed in his face. He frowned. What? Why are you reacting like that? Is my name that big of a deal? Maybe I was a suspect in the Nugent killings after all. But the cops were wrong. I didn't do it. Yua said I did, but I didn't. She said I just didn't know it. What? Oh, I see. But that was impossible. I didn't sleepwalk. I didn't have multiple personalities. She was just wrong about everything.
Arigato.
Surprisingly, the policeman gave back my ID. And then he turned back toward the park, as if he was running away. Something was very wrong. I had a really bad feeling. Did they really think I did it? I stared at him. He went over to the man on the bench and bowed to him a little. At least that's what it looked like. It was weird. I was imagining things, right? But he definitely looked over at the man on the bench. Whether he bowed or it just looked like he bowed, I couldn't tell from here. The policeman left the park. The man on the bench was playing with his phone. At least that's what it looked like. But his fingers weren't moving, or so it seemed from here. It was too dark to tell. Normally, I'd be able to see the light from the phone's LCD display, but I didn't. Something was strange. I looked around at the other people in the park. One of the homeless men was sitting on a stump, away from the others. He wasn't moving at all. He was looking down, and he seemed to be holding some kind of strange board. There were 3 homeless— Oh my god, it's him! That's him! That's the guy! I can't remember his name. Senna's dad. That is him. Like, he's just there. Wow. That never occurred to me. And like, he doesn't show up till later, but here he is. That's great, actually. That's a great little detail. There were 3 homeless people in front of a little shack covered in blue tarp, but they didn't seem to be talking. They were just sitting there. One of them had a hand up to their mouth. His sleeve and his hand were blocking any view of his mouth in a way that seemed almost too obvious, maybe. I couldn't tell for sure, but it was weird. There was a strange tension in the park, but maybe even that was my imagination. Maybe. Maybe everyone in the park was a plainclothes detective? The delusion came bubbling up in my mind, making me shiver. I told myself frantically that it was just a delusion, but I didn't want to stay here any longer. I should get out of here. I started running. That's great. I can't believe I just know. Yeah, this is right there. I ran over to the bridge and headed to the steps going down toward Meiji Street. As I stopped, I looked back at the park. The man on the bench had stood up. None of the others moved. The man's body was turned toward me, but his face was turned toward the side. He was about to walk toward me. Felt like he was walking a little fast. He was chasing me. That man was a detective. He seemed to be in really good physical shape, for one thing. I had no idea what he did for a living. I couldn't tell just by looking at him. I didn't know for sure that he was a detective. No, he was a detective. He had to be. He was tailing me. I couldn't stay here. I ran down the stairs. Shit. Now it wasn't just Yua, but the cops were after me too. And I hadn't done anything. I hadn't done anything at all. Should I proclaim my innocence? But right now, I was running from the police. Yeah, those two things don't really go hand in hand. They were probably just going to try and frame me anyway. They wouldn't believe a creepy otaku like me. I didn't have time to think about what would happen next. For now, I just needed to get away from Yua and the police. That one desire was the only thing driving me. And now... Sword. So cool. The sword was the one that Fess was waving around during her concert. Oh man, it's so cool, dude. It's such a cool freaking sword. Honestly, I think hers and Senna's are like tied for first place of coolest sword. Like, I just love the two blade design of Senna's, but hers is just so freaking just badass. Ah. Dropping things. Gross. That sound never gets old. The tune is just stuck in my head. He's gone. He's gone now. Which makes sense. She would immediately know it was him. So. That is such a great detail. Also, that never gets old. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, Shogun. Not gun, more like. That was dumb. I wish I hadn't said that. Sometimes it is okay to just not. I do not have green marked, but I feel like I did do this one, right? I just forgot to mark it. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Boy, I wish I had remembered to mark that so I don't have Ah. Fun stuff. That one. Good up until number 31, according to my super duper dandy handy spreadsheet power.
よし、繋がった。
Much less jovial tone when it's coming from a severed hand. Alright, Sarah, you're the worst. Go away. Sarah, you suck. You're the worst, I hate you, go away. Terrifying. Sarah, you suck. Ooh. Hazuki, you also suck. But for different reasons. Maybe the beds were all full because so many people were hurt in the earthquake yesterday? Maybe the beds in the mental ward had been the only ones open. Or maybe they thought I had collapsed because of some mental disorder? Well, if they did, they weren't that far off. I was starting to feel more and more depressed. Oh, then, yeah. Man, this is one gloriously full spreadsheet right now. Feel good. Feel good about keeping up with it. Sui, you suck too. So many people just suck. Get these people in a row, make a super suck sandwich. I don't know. Get out of here. Kozupi's great. I like her, even if she does make a scary face in that one scene. The way the face is beaten. Ow. Such kindness. Even if your sword is super lame. This one marks another one off.
断る
Ooh. She wasn't even slightly interested? What a rude woman turning down somebody's kind offer like that. Or was this just her being a tsundere? It's not moe if it's 3D, understand?
ほいじゃあこうしようよセナちゃん。この間二人で一緒にお勉強した渋谷言葉を言ってくれたら匠ちゃんが当たり棒をあげるそうです。
いらないと言っているだろう。
いいから早く楽しい時に言う言葉っていうか超楽しくてマジやばい超ベリーグ
Well, what? Dokyun like words. They were they were also like a decade out of date too. Had the two of them been studying that? It was kind of cute in a way, but
渋谷に馴染むためなのら
that's really
セ
funny.
ナちゃん
無理今は無理だ
無理じゃない
Say it.
無理だ
Say something.
うー
Kozupi silently stared at Senna with tears in her eyes. Even Senna couldn't resist that. Okay, what's she gonna say?
っていうか
God.
超楽しくてマジちょべりく
That's
相変わらず
ridiculous.
セナさんは片言ですね
Senna had started blushing and was turning away from me. I felt like I'd just seen something rare, something very rare and precious. This was the complete opposite of all the complicated theories she'd been spewing a moment ago. All hail... what? Hail Dairy mode? I'd just seen new possibilities in 3D girls. I don't know what that means. Good job, Kozupi. As promised, I gave Senna that winning stick. She took it with less resistance than I'd been expecting.
礼は言わないからな
She very pointedly picked up her D-sword again and glared at me before looking back down at her feet. Why did she have to glare at me after I'd done something nice for her? Dealing with Senna was always such a pain. I wish she'd just stay in dairy mode all day. I don't... That picture's really funny too. Alright. Oh. Whoops. No, stop. That button. According to my schedule, today wasn't a school day, but I'd come anyway for one reason, to see Rimi. I was sure my Dokyun classmates would be making fun of me again. It hurt, but I'd be willing to put up with it if it meant possibly seeing Rimi. There was a chance that Shogun would come back. He seemed to be coming after me as some sort of game, which meant the next quest might start whenever he felt like it. That scared me. The only reason I'd wanted a D-sword in the first place was because I was so scared of him. How was I supposed to protect myself from him without the sword? Have Rimi stay with me? But Rimi wasn't coming to school, and that worried me. What if he took Rimi hostage like he did Nanami? Wasn't there anybody who could help me? I entered the classroom with my head down. I took a single look around the room before I sat down. First, at Rimi's seat. Empty. Was she absent again today? Was she really not going to come to school, or was something more going on? I got worried. Next, Kozupi. She was sitting in her seat, looking down, making herself as small as possible. Morning, Kozupi. We didn't look at each other, but we exchanged greetings in our mind. The Dakun girls were grinning at me. It had only been a day. The label of creepy loser otaku who made a mess on TV wasn't coming off that quickly. The Dakun boys evidently weren't here yet. Those guys would often skip first period. That was more than fine by me. I sat down. Then somebody slapped me on the back.
Oh, Taku.
It was Misumi, with an awkward expression on his face. He hadn't slapped me nearly as hard as he used to. Just yesterday, he'd been ignoring me. Why was he talking to me again? If he did, it would ruin his life. The Dokuns in the class would bully him. Yeah, Misumi would be better off if he didn't talk to me at all. When I didn't respond, Misumi forced a smile on his face.
暗いな。朝から新規臭いぜ。ま、お前はそういうやつだって分かってるけどな。
He was being as rude as ever, but it didn't feel like he was being mean. That was just how he always talked.
あれだ。この前は悪かったな。自分の立ち位置ってのもつかみかねててな。でもまあ、いろいろ考えて、やっぱ今まで通りで行くことにしたからよ。よろしくな。
He said this so casually. He was going to treat me like he had before, even though I was a creepy loser, without wanting anything in return. Oh damn, I was feeling... What? What? Those were the last words I expected to read here. All right. Oh my god, okay. Oh damn, I was feeling wet. If Misumi wanted to do me, I'd let it.
まあ、
What
正直なところを言うと、お前に優しくしてやることで、俺は女にモテるわけだ。
Oh my god, that's alright. Oh my god, that's really funny.
あんなダメ人間にもわけ隔てなく接するなんて、とってもかっこいい人だわ、キャ。てな。
Daisuke Misumi, die in a fire. And I was willing to offer you my virginity too. My god. If you hadn't told me, I never would have realized what you were really after. But well, the way he came out and said it was just who he was. Open and friendly about everything. That was enough for me to get over it. I suddenly let out a chuckle.
そういえば、岸本のことを聞いたか。
I'm still dying from that. Oh
ま
my
だ入
god.
院中らしいぜ。怪我は大したことなかったんだけど、精神的にかなり参ってるらしい。いいか、タク。女を落とすのに一番手っ取り早いのは、弱ってる時に優しくしてやることだ。というわけで俺、本気で岸本の見舞いに行こうかなと思ってんだよね。そ
Oh,
ういえばタクって、
you sure are the
知り合いだったよ
worst.
な。
That's not true. There's worse, but
一緒に行ってくんね。
definitely bottom 5. That sounded like something Misumi would say, and it is... Ugh. And it was something I'd never even thought about either. Ayase, huh? With Remy gone, she might be the only person left I could rely on. Evil contemplation. Seventh murder. Another one. Another new gen murder. Oh my god. How long was this going to keep happening? Would the next one be the one where they finally got me? Or the one after that? Anyway, had Grimm gotten a job at the new gen advertising division or something? He was constantly telling me about them whenever one happened. You might say Grimm has the first scoop whenever it happens. It's crazy. Once again, he'd posted a bunch of links to new sites too. This must have been his way of telling me to look at them. I clicked the link and bit down hard on my lip. Puzzle. Ah,
今日午前4
that
時
gets
50
me
分
every
頃
time.
東京都渋谷区の線路沿いで男性3人の他殺死体が鉄柱に吊り下げられているのを通りかかった新聞販売員の男性が発見しました。警察の調べによりますと、殺されたのはいずれも渋谷区に住む無職藤田康平さん、大学生の安沢三郎さん、とび職の高木亮さんの3人です。3人とも胴体の部分が切断され、それぞれの上半身と下半身が別々に入れ替えられて糸で縫合されていました。3人の額にはそれぞれ謎の傷がつけられており、警察では犯人からのメッセージではないかとみて調べています。渋谷では2ヶ月ほど前から猟奇殺人事件が頻発しており、警察では今回の事件も同一犯による犯行の可能性が高いとみて捜査を続けています。
The last video I saw showed the faces of the 3 murdered men. I recognized their faces.
あいつらだ。昨日僕に絡んできた。
I gave them my wallet, but they still attacked me anyway. I passed out, and when I woke up, Kozupi was there. The 3 of them were covered in blood. I took my wallet out of my pocket and stared at it. When I woken up, Kozupi was holding my wallet, and she'd given it back to me. Could she be the one who... No, that wasn't right. When I'd seen them last, their faces were smashed up and they were covered in blood, but they certainly weren't sliced in half. They'd been killed after Kozupi and I had left. It had to be Shogun. He was taunting me. He was trying to destroy my mind. I felt like I was about to throw up. My stomach was racked with pain. I put my hands up against it hard to try and make the feeling go away. Would I be next? Would the next one finally be the one where I was killed? I was scared. Remy, help me. Where'd she gone? Wasn't she supposed to protect me? Ayase Kishimoto was staring out the window, only half paying attention to anything going on around her. There were no bars on the windows like there were in the rooms at Arkhart Medical, the place she'd been before. Outside, she could see... Oh my god. Outside, she could see the high-rise buildings of Shinjuku, and beyond them, in blazing evening sky, a few pigeons were flapping furiously across it. Occasionally, she would wince in pain. Her eyes were empty and just a little tired. She wasn't humming the songs that had so entranced the young people of Shibuya. After her failed suicide attempt, she'd been brought to a big general hospital in Yoyogi. Her wounds had almost completely healed. The doctors had said it was a miracle that a fall from that height had only ended in a few minor scrapes and bruises. Still, she'd hit her head hard, so she'd been hospitalized for observation. She'd been here for over a week already. Of course, observation meant nothing more than a simple checkup once every 2 days. The rest of the time, she was left to herself. She had the room to herself. There were no other beds in it. Her D-sword was up against the window, flashing with a pale light. It had been there the whole time she'd been there, but nobody had noticed it. She didn't get many visitors. Phantasm fans were, supposedly, coming in huge numbers every day, but the hospital had banned them from seeing her, so she wouldn't bother the other patients. She and her family weren't close. Almost nobody came to see her. Her bandmates Her bandmates had come to see her once. When she'd mentioned breaking up the band, though, they'd stopped coming at all.
岸本さん、体温計ピピってなりました？
Door opened and a nurse in white came in. ISA slowly turned toward her and then took the thermometer out from under her arm, just like she just remembered it was there. The nurse looked at the number on the digital display and wrote it down on the chart.
37度1分と。ちょっと熱っぽいかしら。ズキズキするわ。頭。
ISA winced in pain again.
あら、また頭痛？でもそれは薬の副作用よ。気にしなくてもそのうち良くなりますよ。
The nurse spoke with a smile and took the thermometer. Her expression was gentle, and there was something about her that put a patient at ease. Yeah. She's the best, isn't she? But ISA put her hand to her forehead and shook her head. Ever since she came here, ISA had been dealing with a dull headache. Painful wasn't the word for it. There was an unpleasant sensation of something pulsing in her head. It was making her hard for her to think. And her whole body felt as heavy as lead. This had happened to ISA before, too. It was when she was in Arkhart Medical. The headaches had lasted 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. She'd been unable to sleep and emotionally unstable. It was a past she didn't want to remember. A past she'd sealed away, her memories of 2 years ago. The pain was the trigger that made them come flashing back. Oh. It's absolutely horrifying. A dark room, a small window with bars. Except for the small window, the walls were entirely covered with mirrors. She'd been restrained in a steel chair in the center of the room. There was some kind of device on her head, with cords stretching off of it. Her hands were bound behind the chair's back. Her head was restrained at a slight angle. There was no one else in the room. The only sounds were her panting for air and the straining of the metal chair. I hate this. This sucks. Drool was flying from her lips, and a bestial howl was coming from her throat that one would have thought impossible for a girl her age. Gross. Bad. Stop. It was a very quiet form of torture. There was only one thing they were doing to her. A single drop of water was falling on her forehead from above, in the same spot every time, at precise 5-second intervals. That was all. She'd been stuck like that for 2 days with no rest. And now all she could do was think of when the next drop would fall. Her senses were pushed to their limits. Each time a drop fell, it felt like all the nerves in her body were being ripped apart. Like all the bones in her body were being shattered to pieces. Like a long, sharp awl was being driven into her skull. Like all the fluids in her body, including her blood, were freezing. Like all her skin was rotting and sloughing off. It was more than enough to drive her mad. Ugh. Suck. She snapped back to reality to find herself panting and clutching the sheets tightly. Her whole body had started to shake when her dark memories came back. The nurse was gone from the room. It was dinner time, and there was a frantic rush of movement outside the doors. ISA repeated the words that the nurse had said to herself. Was this headache really caused by the medicine, or had she hit her head when she'd fallen? Or was it an effect of her old memories? She couldn't tell. ISA wiped away the sweat on her forehead and began to laugh.
構わないわ。今さら何をされたって。あれはあの神罰を耐え抜いたんだから。もう迷わない。私は。
She whispered, as if in a trance. Then suddenly, she heard a sound coming from the hallway. It was the pleasant sound of shoes on the linoleum. They weren't the nurse's footsteps. She could tell that much. Oh my god. The footsteps were getting closer to her room. There was a knock at the door. She pressed her lips together tightly into a frown. Oh, good. You have the worst visitor ever. It was a man. He was holding a fruit basket, the type commonly given as a gift. Ayase recognized the man. Thus, she looked at him suspiciously.
どうも。あ、別に怪しいもんじゃないっすよ。自分は。
知ってるわ。
He was a detective from the Tokyo Metropolitan Police. He'd been tailing her as a person of interest in the New-Gen case. He scratched his head happily. For a detective, he seemed surprisingly laid back.
いやー、嬉しいっす。君みたいな美人に覚えててもらえて。記憶力いいんすね。
The detective walked over toward her bed. Ayase glanced at the D-sword in the windowsill. It was too far away for her to reach out and grab. Still don't know how that works. Can't just like... Zit, zit.
今日はお見舞いに来たんすよ。
そうは思えないわ。目的は
鋭いっすね。
The detective acted like he was shaken, but it felt a little like an act. What? Did like it? Okay.
まあ、ちょっと綾瀬ちゃんに聞きたいことがあって。あ、これ、よかったら食べてほしいっす。
He offered her the fruit basket with an innocent smile, practically forcing her to take it by placing it at the foot of her bed.
うまいっすよ。あと、高かった。
いらない。
まあそう言わず、せっかく買ってきたんで。後でお母さんが来た時にでも切ってもらって。あ、しまった。綾瀬ちゃんはもう何年も両親に会ってないんだったっすね。
Man, he really is a piece of shit. Fucking. It was clear the detective knew exactly what he was doing, but Ayase didn't really care. Her parents had disowned her when she was very little. They were the type to really care about what the neighbors thought of them, and Ayase was a problem child that they were eager to be rid of. She wasn't entirely cut off from them, though. They sent her enough money to pay her living expenses every month.
申し訳ないっす。
No, you're not. He gave her a little bob of his head in apology. Ayase was now starting to recover from her flashback earlier, and didn't really want to talk to the detective at all. She decided to get this over with as fast as possible.
聞きたいことって何？アリバイ？
違うっすよ。それは前に散々聞いたし。もう綾瀬ちゃんの容疑は晴れたっす。君は白、真っ白。
目星がついたの。犯人の。
それは教えられないんすよ。捜査上の秘密っす。
匠。
秘密っす。
The detective was grinning. He was clearly hiding something. When he laughed, you could see just how young he still was.
しかし西条くんは不思議な少年っすね。彼を見ていると殺人の容疑者にはとても見えない。もしあれで本当に犯人だったとしたら、まさに人の皮をかぶった悪魔っす。
まだ容疑者なのね、彼。
いや、そういうわけじゃないっすよ。
The detective laughed and shook his head.
ああ、今の話誰にも言っちゃダメっすからね。情報漏洩すると上司に怒られるんすよ。まあ当然なんすけど、この前も先輩のとばっちりで怒られたばっかで。綾瀬ちゃんも一度会ってると思うんすけど、覚えてるかな。バンさんっていう髪がボサボサで武将髭生やしたおっさんでか。
Ayase remembered him. When they'd come to talk to her, it was the older man, not the one in front of her, who'd done most of the speaking. He'd been pretty aggressive and sneaky, too.
あの人がすぐこのバカって怒鳴るんすよ。そのくせ自分は本来の捜査をせずに、なんだかわけのわからないことばっか調べてて、挙句の果てに自分まで無理やり付き合わされて、最近胃が痛いんすよね。いや、まあ根はいい人っすし、勘が異常に鋭い人で、過去にも難事件をいくつか解決に導いたらしいんすけどね。
その話をするためここに来たのは。
Damn. The detective chuckled when ISA cut him off.
ああ、いや、申し訳ないっす。つい愚痴入っちゃったっすね。今の話は全面的に内緒にしてほしいっす。諏訪守、一生のお願いっすよ。
それで
一つ目は、なんであんなことを？
Even ISA could tell he was talking about how she jumped off the roof.
もう何度も話したわ、他の刑事さんに。
邪神王グラジオールの復活を阻止するためですか？
死ぬつもりなんてなかった。魂を一つ上のステージに持っていこうとしただけよ。
例の若者の間で話題になった君の歌についても似たようなこと言ってたっすよね。
That was his second question. ISA couldn't help but sigh a little.
ニュージェネのことを歌ったものなんかじゃないわ、あの詩は。グラジオール記黙示録詩編のインスピレーションを受けて作った第3章102節よ。世界に邪神王グラジオールが現れようとしている。復活を阻止するにはグラジオールが流した黒い血によって作られた7つの杭が必要。杭は剣へと形を変え、神罰を乗り越えた7人の黒騎士の手に渡る。目には目を、歯には歯を。邪神を背負いし人間だけが邪神王を滅ぼせるの。
なんか映画みたいっすね。そういう壮大な設定は好きっす。
ISA's eyes narrowed at the detective's comment.
設定じゃないわ、現実よ。
じゃあ最後の質問っす。
The detective ignored her protests, but she was used to that. Nobody had ever believed what she had to say.
君や西条くんの他にも水明の生徒について何人か洗ったんすけどね。
He crossed his arms and heaved a little sigh. It felt like an obvious act, but ISA wasn't inclined to call him out.
何？
すごくバカバカしい質問なんすけど、刑事が質問するようなことじゃないんすよね、本当は。子供じみてるっていうか。
そう。質問する気がないなら出て行って。頭が痛いの。
ああ、いや、実はね、バンさんが妙なことを言い出してるんすよ。君たちは魔法使いなんじゃないかって。
ISA's eyes narrowed just a little at the phrase, you guys.
違いますよね。
使えるわ。
She was looking down at her hands instead of at the detective as she spoke.
綾瀬ちゃんって面白い子っすね。
でもニュージェネはグラジオールの騎士とは無関係。
ああ、そうっすか。
The detective yawned after he spoke, disinterest in his voice. And then, suddenly, an electronic sound filled the room. The detective frantically pulled a phone out of his suit pocket.
まずった。病院って携帯禁止なんですよね。電源オフにしておくの忘れてた。うわ、しかも女からだし。付き合って4年になるラブラブの彼女がいるんですよ。
He grinned as he pressed the button to reject the call. He turned back toward ISA.
綾瀬ちゃんは映画見るっすか？スパークウォーズって知らない？それに出てくるダース・スパイダー伯爵のテーマなんす。今のメロディー。
She wasn't interested in movies at all. ISA had already decided she was under no obligation to ask. Oh my god. Under no obligation to answer any more of his questions, and silently turned to look out the window.
実は自分スパークウォーズオタクなんすよ。
Oh my god, no one cares, Sue. You suck. Go
興味ないっすか？
away. You're the
そりゃ
worst.
失礼したっす。じゃ自分はこれで。
Get lost, loser. Go. Shoot. The detective left the room without waiting for her answer. ISA didn't bother to watch him as he went. Her eyes were watching the sky as it shifted from twilight to azure night. Oh, Sui, you're the fucking worst, dude. Alright, I wanted to get through the, and I gotta stop it here because I forgot to eat again. I can't. So it's gonna be a shorter one today again. It's just I wanted to do endings on endings, you know, just like boom, boom, boom. But you know, food. I need food. So bye.